You call yourself the GOAT. Goat for
Mhm.
real is your handle. Why are you the
Mhm.
GOAT? What makes you the GOAT?
Well, there's a arrogant answer, and then there's the heartfelt answer. And the arrogant answer is because I'm sick at this car business thing. I mean, I'm lethal.
goatforreal216 does not need an introduction. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So normally I have like some elaborate question I'm going to ask you, but I just want to have a discussion because me and you just went to Toothman Ford this weekend for New Year's Eve and trained their team on how to do social media. And I just kind of want to have a little bit of conversation. How you thought it went, how you thought you did, how you thought I did, how you thought the team did. So, I mean, was that your first time doing a social media training?
Social media for sure. I've done definitely done my fair share of sales training and stuff like that, but definitely my first time being involved in a social media aspect of it, and it was a blast. To answer your question, um, I thought you did very well. I think it's fun to watch how captivating you are for people because of your presence on social. So that was cool to watch. It's like instant respect. The Godfather's here talking. Everybody gets quiet, so that was cool to see. I thought we did a great job. I thought we had great engagement, Russell. I thought everybody bought in. I feel like it was a success. What do you think?
Yeah, the toughest part about doing social media training with car dealerships is when you go there and train them how to sell cars, well, they don't have to buy in. They're already selling cars. But to an extent, social media is an extension of their job that is extra work. So it does require some buy in
Yeah,
from the team. You almost have to convince them to do it. And when I do, if you notice in my seminar, I almost try to convince them that not doing it is a big
yeah,
disservice. And I think a few guys definitely bought into that during the seminar. A few more bought into it while we were training. And by the time we were leaving, I think a few more even bought into it. I think the proof will come over the next couple months. Of course, I'll do my follow up. I know you have some of those guys' numbers and just
yeah,
holding them accountable because look, just because you know how to do it doesn't mean your page is going to transform overnight. This takes
yeah.
time,
Oh yeah,
thought, energy, and consistency. And then you're going to get, I don't want to say lucky, but you're going to get lucky and you're going to have that video that puts you on the map. We've all had that video,
yeah,
and it might not put you on the map permanently, but it gives you a really good benchmark of, I found my niche. And I think
right.
especially automotive creator, has found that little pocket or niche of what they can talk about and how they can structure a video. But you're never going to get that one time hit until you
Yeah,
were consistent with it because you don't know
yeah.
which one it's going to be.
You never know, man. It's kind of interesting. It becomes like almost like like a mystery. The buildup is like, okay, is this going to be the video that does it?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you post a video, Russell, and you can attest to this. You post a video that you did in your free time real quick on the way, and that's the one that hits, and you're like, holy cow, you know what I mean?
So you were in car sales, basically the way I understand it. You were in the car business, even if though you weren't employed by a car sales. Since you were like 16, you told me when we were at Toothman, you were flipping in, cars.
Yeah.
You said some crazy number, 20 cars by the time you graduated.
Yep, I had 16 cars, but I had owned 16 cars by the time I graduated high school. There was a little newspaper. Well, it was actually called the Trade and Times. If you're over 50 and you're listening to this podcast, you remember the Trade and Times. It was autotrader.com before the internet. And I would just call guys out of the Trade and Times. I would talk to them about the car. I'd go look at it. I'd negotiate the best I could, the best that a 16-year-old can. And I'd take it home, detail it, and list it right back in the same magazine and make some money and buy a nicer car.
Wow, that's crazy. Now, would
Yeah.
you say that you had more of a love for money or a love for cars, or was it kind of like an equal thing? And you're like, man, I can make money do it, you know, being with cars.
I think it was cars and what they represented. You and I had a good conversation. I learned a lot about you at Toothman when we were on JR's podcast,
Yeah.
and it was a lot about like status and growing up without having much. If you had a nice car, it kind of like it lifted you a little bit. Like it represented like
Yeah.
okay, you know what I mean. So having a nice car meant a lot to me. But I've always just loved cars. I was talking to my ex girlfriend from high school. I'll be quick. I was talking to my ex girl from high school, and we stay in touch here and there. And she reminded me that on the weekends when we'd go out, that I used to make her drive around and go to used car lots with me and test drive cars. That's what we did. That was like our date. Swear to God.
That's great. It's true though, the status of a car, I can say growing up, I remember my basketball team, pretty much every kid on the team was really rich. And I was the only poor kid. So like growing up, there was like 6 or 7 neighborhoods in the school district. And I was the only kid on the team that lived in the poor neighborhood. And my mom had a car. I don't even know what type of car it was. I don't even remember. But we called it they all called it the welfare mobile. And I kind of rolled with it because I didn't want to like let them know it offended me, but like it really did.
Yeah.
And the second I could, I bought a brand new Lincoln at like 18 years old. Now I've since got out of that trap of feeling I need to impress people, but like that was my big flex to the world. Like, yeah, I'm 18 and drive a $45,000 Lincoln.
How funny. Here you are now 15 years later or whatever it is, 10 years later, and you had a nicer car at 18 than you do now.
Yeah, literally.
I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I try to. There's certain things from every person that I like take in my mind. Like you look at the Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk and like coming up and growing their business, like they didn't care about any of that. They were all like they were driving like crappy cars. And you hear some gurus who will say like buy a car you can't afford so it makes you work harder. And for whatever reason in my brain, I twisted that saying, which has some truth to it. There is some truth to buying a car you can't afford to work harder. 100% true. And I said in my mind, what if I invested so heavily that I felt uncomfortable and had to work harder? Because at least I'm buying and appreciating assets. And that's kind of how I've molded my life so far is I invest till I feel uncomfortable. Like I've bought so much Bitcoin this month and hopefully I watch this podcast and in the next maybe 20 years from now. And I look back and was like, it was smart, but I bought a lot of Bitcoin over the last 30 days. And it makes me feel really uncomfortable.
That's awesome. Well, you got to push yourself out of your comfort zone for sure. That goes for investing until you're uncomfortable in your case. But, I think it goes for car sales and social media too, Russ. You have to make yourself uncomfortable to get to the next level. Posting, like the guys at Toothman, they have to get a little uncomfortable and do some things that they're uncomfortable with to get the gains from it.
Absolutely. Now, this podcast is really about car dealers and social media. So I don't want to brush over your experience in the car business. I mean, you're extremely experienced. You did this at a high level, seriously successful, for yourself, for other businesses. You were part owner in a couple different dealerships that were, so successful you didn't know what to do with all the money.
Right.
But we kind of want to dive into your latest venture in the car career, which is your social media career. And speaking on being uncomfortable, were you uncomfortable when you first started posting or you just never gave a crap?
I'm an idiot. I didn't care. I saw people doing it and I was like, I can do that. Now, I did find out very quickly that I wasn't good at it in the beginning. So I got uncomfortable after I saw how bad I was. And then I was like, and then I was like, oh my God, I got to stick with it now. But I don't, that's the discomfort for me wasn't in the beginning. I'll try anything. I think I can figure anything out. But then I was like, man, I stink. And then I became uncomfortable. And but I had to work through that. And, watching other people's content like yourself, and my own views, like you said, you learn your niche and you kind of get in your zone and you're in your lane,
There's a powerful lesson in what you just said of I thought I was going to be good at it and I wasn't, but I kept doing it. Some people do one of two things that don't take the route you took. They never do it because they think they'll never be good, or they do start. So a lot of people do start, realize they're not good at it, and stop. But really, I mean, I don't know who said this. I've heard it a million times, but you have to have 100 hours invested in something to say you're like good at it and 1,000 hours to be a master at it. And I mean, if we're talking in terms of filming content, I mean, I'm sure we've both cracked 100 hours. I don't think I have 1,000 hours into it. Maybe, might be around there. I don't know.
I don't even know if you have 100. You shoot a video in like 4 seconds. You don't have to edit it. You're like this young, good-looking kid. You're in shape. You don't care. You shoot the video and you post it. Dude, it's a little different for me. I post a video. I got to edit that thing, buddy. I got to edit that up. It's got a CapCut loves me.
You got to put your makeup on before you film.
Exactly. I you know what? I refuse to use filters, though. There's just something about it. I'm like, I can't do a filter. It just doesn't seem right.
Now, what being that your content was really behind the scenes, like you were working, recording yourself, do you think that type of content, the way you're filming it, gave credibility to the car business or made us look worse? Like, what would you say the benefit of your content was, or the negative?
I think people already had a perception of us. So I didn't do anything to make our perception any worse. Did I live up to the perception sometimes? Probably. Um, desk and deals, getting upset at a salesperson, not following the process, maybe something like that. Um, I don't know so I probably lived up to some of the perceptions, but it was important to me, Russell, for people to know we are just normal dudes, man. I mean, we are not like some, silver tongued devil guys that will just take advantage of every situation. I thought that was important, and I wanted to do it because I love car salespeople. I just do. That's my tribe, and I was so tired of everybody, not just me, having that stigma. And I was like, let me just try to show them something different.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if I helped or hurt, but I do know that I got, and still to this day, a million DMs. Thank you for showing us how it really works. Thank you for showing us, and then people start to like us, Russ, because they see like, oh, that dude's funny, or oh,
Yeah.
he's smart, or whatever. So hopefully it's been a positive, but I don't know.
I mean, your content kind of be in the, the back office, your how I think of your content, when you were really doing it inside the dealership. Now you've transitioned to, some stuff outside of the dealership. Your inside the dealership was you were desking deals for salespeople and coaching them on how to sell somebody a car. And I think a lot of people think the behind the scenes is how can we maximize the profit, make the most money off this customer and screw them over? And there's some validity to that. Just like any other industry, we are worried about maximizing profits.
100.
But if you
100%.
notice in your content, it was almost more like, how do we just sell this person a car? Like, what angle do we have to take? Do we have to, show them more money for their trade, or do we got to give them bigger discounts? They're going to come. Do we got to go get a credit app, or do we got to go land them on a car first? And a lot of
Yep.
people think the sales guys go back to their manager to go get this like secret wisdom on how to manipulate their customer, which is like, I think in your content you kind of show you weren't even loading their lips. I can't think of a video where you ever loaded somebody's lips.
No.
Is anyone listening? Loading lips just means telling them what to say.
Right. Right.
But I think you were just like coaching and counseling your guys on how to help a customer buy a car.
Yeah, and there's nothing more important to me than when a guy comes up to me at the desk and he's working a deal with me. At that moment in time, there is nothing on the planet more important than helping that guy get a commission and make a living. So I'm going to focus first on how do we make sure we get a car over the road. First of all, let's make sure we got a car deal. Now, after that, am I going to dig and try to find additional profit opportunities for the store, the company that I work for, whether it's mine or somebody else's? Of course I am. Absolutely I am. That's just good business. But you're right. It was a lot about this is what we need just to make a deal, and it's only on these 3 cars. If not, that person's walking to work tomorrow, man. And so I took that very serious. And my guy, has a family to feed. So if I can put a deal together and the store makes no money, but my guy makes a commission or a unit and the customer is happy, I'll make money on the next one.
No, I know you posted a video, which was one of your first mega viral videos, where you kind of like shredded a salesperson, and everyone had an opinion on, you yelling at him for asking for time off. Which, if you know Goat for real, you know that he would, he was kidding but serious at the same time. But
Yeah.
he's just a good character. Did you ever make a piece of content that actually offended a customer from any of the dealerships you were working at, and was actually like, shredding your salesperson, not a big deal? Annoying, or I should say offending a customer could be a bigger deal?
Yeah, I did. I'll tell you, I posted a video one time. So this lady comes up to the sales tower. We're working a deal. She insists that her payment's $300 a month, right? And I think we were financing $26,000.
Yeah.
And that's where that was the first time I ever said the words, "It's just math." So this lady comes up there, makes it up to the sales tower. I want my keys back. No problem. I said, if you don't mind me asking, why aren't we making a deal?
And you're
Well,
recording this whole thing?
I'm recording the whole time. And I said, why aren't we making this deal? And she says, well, down the street, the same dollar amount is 300. And I think the payment was like 490. It was close. It was almost 500. And I said, listen, man, that's not true. Listen, I'm trying to tell you right now, it's not true. X amount of dollars over this amount of term at this amount of interest rate is this. It's just math, and I said it somewhat condescending, maybe.
Yeah.
So the lady leaves. I post the video. I get a call 2 days later from an attorney. And she wasn't in the video, but her voice was. One of her family members saw the video, realized the lady's voice, and the lady calls an attorney. So this guy calls me. He says, listen, man. He goes, you made this video. He goes, I'm not stupid. He goes, I know you don't have to do this. He goes, I know you don't have to. He goes, it's your personal account. I already did the research. He goes, is there any way you just take it down? You know what I mean? He goes, I really don't want to be living with this lady trying to, get me to come after you and this, that, and the other. And I said, you know what? Because of the way you asked me, I will absolutely take it down. And I just went and took it down. And it was at 300,000 views in 2 days. And I was like, oh, man.
I wonder how much that lawyer got paid for that.
I don't know. But, because he approached me like a gentleman, Russ, I said, you know what? Yeah, I will. I'll take it down. So,
and that's at the end of the day, probably the right thing to do, assuming that lady wasn't condescending to you. Now, if that lady had been over the top to you, I would say, screw her.
Right. Or had the attorney, if he would approach me wrong, I would have said, you know what, dude, I don't have to. But he asked me the right way, and I'm not trying to hurt nobody. Nobody is.
I bet that attorney called that client back and was like, you know what? I twisted his arm. I got under his skin. I told him we were going to sue him for $100 million. He caved. I'll send my retainer fee.
Yeah. 100%.
That was the only time you ever had a little mishap, though. Because when you're making content, this is what people don't understand. First off, car dealerships get bad reviews to people they actually sell cars to and service their cars to. So we can't be afraid to get a bad review from somebody who's, one, maybe never bought a car from us. Because I got not a bunch, but I can name 3 or 4 bad reviews. People go on beyond these reviews and play, I would never buy a car from Russ. I see his TikToks. He's terrible. Like, we can't. I mean, as long as they're not coming in the thousands, let's disregard that. Let's worry about Mr. Jones, who lives up the street, who said our service department sucks.
Right. And I'll tell you what, Russ, and you make good, your content is clean and pretty wholesome. I mean, I know you dance on the edge occasionally being funny, but it doesn't matter if you post a video of you saving kittens from a tree and helping an old lady across the road. Somebody's going to be like, what a piece of crap. Somebody's going to say something stupid. You can't worry about it. It doesn't matter.
So let me ask you this. You've never told me how much you've made in your life or how much you're worth, but you give off the impression you don't have to work. You could probably shut down your TikTok right now, travel, or just do whatever Goat wants to do. And, what keeps you motivated to stay in this industry and in this space?
I think at this point, and I don't want to misrepresent myself. I'm not a multimillionaire. It's not like I could, buy an island and disappear or something like that. But I've done fairly well, and social media actually kind of helps me have that sort of confidence and that security. So could I retire right now and not work anymore? Probably, but Russ, I wake up in the morning, bro. Dude, I don't know what to tell you. I wake up in the morning and there's a fire. There's still something in there that just, maybe one day that won't be like that. But I wake up in the morning going, I'm going to smash today. What am I going to do? Is it selling cars? Is it going to make me, and I think and I think you'll understand this of all people. I think it comes from not growing up with a ton. You know what I mean? I never will ever have my children feel less than another kid. They will never feel what I felt. They will never feel. I don't care if I don't have money, if I'm broke, and I'm going to go find a way to make sure that they have what they need to feel secure, and I think that's a big part of it.
No, that fire you have in you, that will to just what's next? How am I going to grow? Social media, maybe get back into a car dealership. I know you've been talking about that, and we got some things in the works that we've talked about. Won't mention on this podcast.
There's one. There's only one. There's only one. There's only one place.
I digress. Was that will dwindling before the social media? I mean, were you always as fired up, or were you kind of getting a little burnt out before you fired up your first TikTok video?
You know what? That's a great question. No one's ever asked me that. And if I'm going to be completely transparent, social media reignited me for sure. Because it was different. It was like, okay, I was still in the industry that I loved and had given me a great life, but it was somewhat getting stale. And social media, it reignited it for me, because it was like, whoa, wait a second, this is coming. This is a whole new different way of doing our business. So it was like learning the business all over again, Russell. I mean, even you being a young guy, when you were, you're utilizing aspects of your talent right now and technology that you didn't utilize when you first started.
Correct.
And it's the same for me, so it definitely, it relit the spark, I would say, somewhat. Yeah.
You know, I'll never forget, and like this is hard to explain to somebody, and maybe this is only something I can get. I think you'll get it. Other creators might get it, but I had maybe 10 to 8,000 followers, and I can give you a million examples of this as I grew my page. And I'll tell one story about you as well. And Abe the Goat, who had like 80,000 followers, and in my eyes was like, as looking back, and I say this humbly, I was like, dude, that's as big as you can get on TikTok for a car salesman. 80K.
Yeah.
Woo-wee.
Wow.
And he made a video making fun of me playfully. And dude, I was just like so excited. Like I thought it was like the best thing ever that this guy, this huge guy, 8 times as big as me, took time out of his day across the country. I'm showing it to everybody at my work. I'm like, dude, look at this. Look at this. I'm going to make a response video. It's going to be great,
Yeah.
And then you made one maybe a year and a half ago when I said I didn't want to be manager. I could never be manager. It's just not my skill set. And I didn't even know you. I don't even think I may have seen your content. Don't think I followed you. Don't think we ever talked. I could be wrong.
No.
I'm really bad at timelines, to be honest. You made a video. This kid's a superstar. He's the next gen of car salesman. Blah, 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 blah. And here we are, a year and a half later, 2 years later, we're best friends.
Yeah.
And like that sense of community that, I can't say if it exists in other industries. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. But I think car salesmen have a strong sense of community, especially on TikTok, because none of us are really competing with each other at the end of the day to sell cars.
Yeah.
I can't think of one car sales TikToker that I would consider my actual competition. So like we're all in this together. We're all having fun. We all go through the wins and losses together. And I think that's a really important thing that has helped spark me in car sales as well. Cause like, what if somebody on TikTok asks me how many cars I sold last month and I say 11? And I'm on here spouting that I'm a good car salesman,
Right.
I got to get some numbers up,
Right. Big gross though. I had big gross.
Yeah. 10 grand a copy, swear to God.
10 grand a rattle. Dude, that is one thing that I talk to people about, the community part of it. It's so cool. I mean, and I don't know if it's because we're all learning together. So we all feel like, like you have a little brother who I adore, by the way. He's a great kid. Your brother, you grow up together and you learn things together. When you learn things together, I think that creates some sort of a bond, right? When you're learning together, growing up. And it's the same thing like with us and the other creators that we're friendly with, is we're kind of all learning together. And so I think that's sort of tied us together somehow in some bond type of way, at least in the beginning. And then we get to know each other. And it's like, I equate it to, I don't know how else to equate it to, but it's like a brotherhood a little bit, almost like a fraternity, but
like
not
a secret society, but
not
we're
as
secret.
Yeah, not as cheesy as a fraternity, but like kind of brotherhood of some, to some level. Like you're right, but actually our relationship was right. But the guy said something to you, and I was like, no, and you've went to bat before for me, and I've went to bat for people. That's my brother. That guy's in the same industry as me. I vibe with him. Even if it's just off his content, he resonates with me. We're similar. That's my guy, period. Mm-hmm. You're not coming after one of my guys. You're just not. So I think there is a whole community thing. It's so cool. Dude, how many amazing people have you met, Russell, that you would have never met before?
Oh, I mean, just to name a few: George Saliba, Benz and Bow Ties, Doc Fees, Dealer Plate Guy, Javon Banks. I mean, Goat for Real, because I'm staring at you right now.
Yeah.
People that are at these dealerships that maybe don't have a page, but I got to know very well. Zach, the general manager at Toyota, or Bob Rohrman Toyota.
Yeah.
And he's kind of on social media a little bit, but I met him through some of his creators.
Abe.
Tremendous guy.
Abe
to go. Yeah, how did I forget him? Yeah.
Abe, how would we have met a guy in Oregon? That guy. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like never.
Dude, and me and Abe are really good friends. It's like, I don't want to say weird, but like I sent him a Thanksgiving video. And I think I sent you one too. Like, hey, super thankful for you, Abe. You know what I mean? Yeah. I give all the credits in the world to Abe the Goat. 100% inspired and encouraged me to make content. And I ripped him off. I could show you 4 or 5 videos right now. Bar for bar. Stole his video, might have changed one little thing, and I'm not gonna lie, I think I did him a little better than he did, but that's okay. That's okay. And I tell him I'm thankful for that. You know what I mean? That, and he always jokes that he walked so I could sprint.
Well, I talked to him tonight. Actually, I was going to pick my kids up. I was in the driveway and he FaceTimed me. And so, we're just sitting there talking a little bit. And he's a real one, man. He is. And he's, we're getting off the phone and he's like, love you, brother. And I'm like, that's so cool. Like, that's just cool. You know what I mean? Like, I think he means it. Like, we really care about each other off of watching each other's videos and getting to know each other. Dude, listen, Russell, we have to go see him.
We have to surprise him too.
We have to go see him. Like that way, we just have to. I want to meet the guy. I want to go out and I want to have a cocktail with him.
No, Abe the Goat's a real one for sure. And when I went to Roarman, it was funny because he didn't think I was actually going, and then I FaceTime him from there. And he was like visibly upset. He was like, "Oh my gosh, like I didn't think you were actually gonna go, Russ." And looking back, I don't think I ever told him this. Maybe I should, but I did get paid to go, so that's kind of why I went.
Yeah. That's great. That's great.
Now, has there ever been a thought like I'm actually gonna quit social media? Like I'm done. It's over. Hanging it up.
No, because one thing it does for me now, you have a little bit more of a creative side to you than I do. But one thing it does for me is it does get creative juices going. Like even if something's going wrong, whether it's on social media or whatever, it's not going right. Like it gets my juices going, makes my mind turn like how I can turn it around or fix it or do better at it. So no, not really. I mean, it's become such a part of my DNA now. Mm-hmm. I couldn't imagine not editing a video at 9:00 at night. You know what I mean? Like I don't know what else I would do. I mean,
to anybody that's thinking about making content, one of the cons of being good at it and getting lots of views is you get anxiety when you don't post, or at least I do. And I know a lot of other creators struggle with that. Like I got to post something, got to get something up. And like that happens to me like every day. Like I'm at work, it's 2:00. I was busy. I had a interview this morning with CBT News. I don't know if you ever heard of CBT News.
I was on there.
Oh, really?
I was on there when I was in Chicago. 100%.
I was on there last week. Dude, the guy's super cool.
Super cool.
Yeah. I didn't say this to him on his interview, and I hope he watches this because this is truthful advice. Like if they could transition him to being more like a social media celebrity than like a newscaster, to the moon, because he's actually great. And he is. He conducts interviews really good.
The gray-haired guy, their platform, he's very professional. I feel like he should be on some bigger show.
Like I think if they were like, Russ, here's our budget, $30,000 a month, whatever, I'd be like, dude, let's just have him go on like a nationwide dealership tour. Now I'm sure he's settled, but like I see like what he's doing could be like so big because I know he has. I'm sure like the biggest dealership owners and dealer principals and GMs watch that, but like if they just tweak it a little bit, that could be like if you like take a blend of like car dealership guy and that could be it could be really big. But back to my point, I do that this morning, go to work, get breakfast, go to the gym, all this stuff. I go to work, I got 3 customers at the same time, and it's all like Mr. Bricker picking up his wife's walker he left in the trade that wants to talk to me for 20 minutes. And then there's Mrs. Lycar, who has her navigator in for service and wants to bring up some concerns. Not really concerns, but she had some questions about her car and some things we were going to do. And then my customer was supposed to be here an hour ago, walks at the same time. And the only thing on my mind, I hate to say it, was like, I didn't post anything today.
I got to get a video up. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'll tell you what is super cool. There are times where I'll go. I mean, sometimes I do have to shut it off. So, there's been times where I'll go like 3, 4, maybe 5 days without posting.
You're crazy.
Coolest thing, I understand. Not everybody's 27, Russell, but
I'm 26. This is like the 10th time in the last.
When's your birthday? When's your birthday?
August 12th, 1998.
Anyways, but what I was getting at was the coolest thing is if I don't post for like call it 3 days, I will get DMs from followers. Hey, dude, just checking on you. Everything cool? Like,
that's great.
How cool is that?
Yeah. Would you say, aside from the money, and I hate to call it fame, it's very known that, we sell more cars because we're on social media. We make money from social media. Our lives have financially increased significantly because of social media, which is tremendous. And
Awesome.
aside from the quote unquote fame, you get recognized. You can walk into another dealership, have a little bit of authority. It's not like, who's this guy? It's like, oh, Goat for Real is here. What would
Yeah.
you say the best part is, barring those two out of it, of being a influencer, which I hate that term also.
Yeah, I know. The other than the money and the whatever you lightweight social media fame, what's the best part of it? Honest to God, um, watching watching you guys' content. You and all the guys. I mean, watching the creativity of it. I love, just sitting there and like your video will come on or Abe's or something like that. And because I know you guys now, I know you, so I know your personality. So I know when you're being low key funny, or I know when you're trying to be a certain way. So it makes it even funnier. So that's cool for me. I like seeing everybody else's content. Um, but probably aside from that, um, the best part for me is just learning. I mean, this industry but way better than I do. You've mastered it. Okay. It is what it is. You're Miyagi, I'm Danielson, let's say, so I'm still learning so much stuff about it. It's just so interesting to me, this whole other industry, not just making TikToks, but like the affiliate marketing industry, the influencer industry, how that works. It's so cool. I love the learning aspect of it, to be honest with you. It's
And
just,
it's funny because, and although I'm always open to advice and I'd love to learn, there's not too many guys in car sales who are going to teach me something. I am learning from George Saliba, and you got to check out
yeah,
his YouTube. It's phenomenal. Just anyone listening on how to
right.
do the long form content and maybe the live negotiation, which we're kind of implementing right now. So that is something that needs some work that I am working on. But I have found that I'm learning a lot about the car business through these connections. Dealer plate guy, follow him on TikTok, teaching me about fixed ops. He's a master of fixed ops. He doesn't need social media. He is a fixed ops director for 7 or 8 dealerships, and he gets it better than anybody I've ever talked to. You
Yeah,
teaching me about how you can, have a whole stream of people that can do bankruptcy deals. I didn't even know that was possible until I talked to you. And
yeah,
how you can, if a customer has a $200 trade junker that needs towed here, how you can get the approval 3 times better as long as you show they're trading a car.
yeah.
And George Saliba on, how to appraise some of these highline, cars that don't have a book on them, like just things that I wouldn't learn at a family-owned dealership with the resources I have. My resource network has completely grown, which
Yeah.
is just ridiculous.
Well, I've watched it happen with you. We don't talk about it much, but I remember when I first met you, and I did believe that you were the future of the car business. I was right, by the way. I was like, that kid's coming, and he's the future. You shut up.
You got to find
And
that clip.
I know, dude. I swear to God. And but you have the it factor. But I knew that you did not. I knew you were a salesperson, and I knew you hadn't been exposed to the underbelly of the car business, what really makes the gears go. So I've watched you grow. I hear you talk now, Russell. You're a much different car guy than you were 2 years ago when I first talked to you. I mean, how cool is that? And that's due to social media, a lot of it.
Yeah, and that's just to make it clear, that's not no fault of anybody I was working with, but when you can open
No.
your resources to everybody in the country, and humbly said about me, when you have a page that is one of the biggest and people want to talk to you, and dude, I ask questions like it's
Yeah.
nobody's business. Like,
Yeah.
why'd you put this much money on that trade? How did you arrive at that number? What if this happened? What about? I mean, I pepper people
Right.
with questions so I can understand their thought process.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
half the reason I do this podcast. I'll tell you this. I'm a little bit selfish with this podcast. I like to interview people and get inside their brains for my knowledge. And if anybody wants to listen to us chat for an hour and they can get some benefit from it, great. If I never posted this, I would still be happy to have done it.
yeah, no, for sure. And it's like when I watch you make a video, Russ, and I tell everybody this because there's not a lot of people in my life that I would like take a back seat to and let them be the driver, but when you're making content, I've said it in front of you. Russell, just tell whatever you want. You know what I mean? I'm not dumb enough to think that I know anywhere near how this video will do better than if I do it, if you do it. So it's cool. The community thing is so great.
Speaking on that, I could have just want to reflect on a video you made that I was a part of that we could have made better. Little reaction here to that top 5 video. The way you did the The top five coming up.
I knew it. I knew you were gonna hate it. I knew you were gonna hate it.
We could have made that 1,000 times better. That was respectfully awful. I cringed watching it.
I knew you were gonna hate it, and I think that's why I left it.
And you posted it at midnight. I was like, what is this?
I don't care. I don't care. I know everybody does that. I don't care. I'm not gonna do that. You know why, dude? I have such bad ADHD, Russell. I'll forget. It'll sit in my phone.
I would not have let you forget the top 5 video we made. You just wanted
it. Should have been better. It should have been better, bro. It should have been better. But at the same token, when we do things like that, you're like, you're gonna post that tonight, right? Like, and I'm like, well, sure, I got to get it up. Okay, it looks like crap, but at least it'll get Russell off my back.
So let me ask you, to anybody watching that's in a car dealership or anybody that's just interested in taking their business to the next level with social media, what do you wish you had done differently starting out so maybe they can avoid those mistakes?
Oh, man, starting out, I wish I would have taken the time to learn the back end of it, like the algorithm and the things that are important to know. What I really wish, and I'll be honest, I don't mean this to transition into a sales situation. I wish I would have had a guy who would have shown me, so I wouldn't have to spend all that time, like, learning the hard way. Like, I wish there was people out there that were like, hey, this is how you do this, because you had to learn the hard way, dude. I had to learn the hard way and take bumps and bruises. Now, you hit the jackpot, but it took you. I mean, we put some work in there. I wish there were people around that would be like, no, dude, do it like this, do it like this. Yeah, I wish that would have been there. You know what I mean?
And if you're listening, Goat for Real does one-on-one consultations. So if you want to grow your business to the next level, reach out to him on Instagram or TikTok, any DM. He will train you one-on-one. I personally offer more dealership training, in-store curricular training and hands-on, but I can say, to your point, took me 6 months to get 10,000 followers and maybe 500,000 views. I got a guy named Dealer Plate Guy. I personally trained, held his hand, showed him the way. 30,000 followers on one platform. 30,000 followers on another platform, and about another 20 on Facebook and 10 on YouTube, all monetized. He's making, I'm not going to say what he's making. That's not my place. But he's making money on social media, and he's been doing it for 4 months because I told him everything I learned. So if you can get a mentor, that is, and I used to think that was bullcrap. You know what I mean? Like 2-3 years ago, you'd see these gurus like, pay me, I'll take you to the next level. I mean, I believe it because I've actually
now you're one of them.
Somebody.
Yeah. Now you're one of them. Yeah.
I feel like I'm going against what I believe in because I would like not want to ever pay a guru for anything. But now that I've actually trained somebody and like things that just seem simple to me. Well, here's how your hook should work. Yeah. Well, what do you mean? And I go more in depth. Here's when you should post, how you should post, batch your content. Because he's like, dude, I don't have anything to post today. I go, well, how many did you film yesterday? Just the one. Well, why didn't you film 4? I don't know. Was there time to film 4? Yeah, we filmed 1 and then just all sat, did nothing. Film 4 next time. Batch your content. But I want to lead off with this last question for you. You call yourself the GOAT. Goat for Real is your handle. Why are you the GOAT? What makes you the GOAT?
Well, there's a arrogant answer, and then there's the heartfelt answer. And the arrogant answer is because I'm sick at this car business thing. I mean, I'm lethal. I mean, I have taken the time and have the experience to learn I can sell a car, I can finance a car, I can appraise a car, I can buy a car, I can train a sales staff. There isn't a whole lot inside the front end of a car dealership that I can't do as good or better than anybody else I know. That's the Goat for Real 216 answer. The heartfelt answer is I don't think you can call yourself a GOAT until 2 things have happened. You've went through turmoil and experienced, loss, whether it's in business or failure or something, and you have the stamina and the ability to come back from that and then reach the top again. Okay. Mm-hmm. So and I also don't think that you can call yourself a GOAT unless you make everybody else around you better.
Yeah.
I equate it to, you know who Tracy McGrady is?
Yeah.
Right? Maybe the most physically gifted scorer, one of the top 5 in the last 15, 20 years, right? Never won a thing. Never took the time to make people around him better. And for that reason, he'll maybe make the Hall of Fame or whatever, but never won a thing. and had all that talent. And there's multiple guys.
And one
like
big
that.
thing too, and I think there's sometimes this is misskewed. And I'm not saying this is you, but for a lot of high achievers, like some people don't actively try to help people get better. They
Right.
just expect and demand it out of them. Like, you
Right.
need to get better. You know what I mean? I think that would be Michael Jordan, like, not necessarily like teaching Scottie Pippen how to shoot the basketball better, but like, dude, you gotta get more rebounds. You gotta be out, you gotta pass me the ball more. Like, we are gonna be champions, and I'm gonna do it with or without you. Are you on board or not? And I think that's kind of the difference between maybe a Tracy McGrady and a Jordan was like he expected it and demanded greatness from everybody around him because he was great.
Right, and he made people better around him, and that's why I think that he is the GOAT. If you look at my two criterias, yes, he did everything as good or better than everybody else, but he went through some serious turmoil with his father, with taking time off the NBA. You know, he had some stuff in his personal life that came out, the gambling and stuff, and he resurrected himself all the way back up to the top. Came back from baseball, won 3 rings in a row. To me, that's GOAT type stuff, but also he made everybody around him better. Not the beginning of his career, you know, but at the second half of his career, he made everybody around him better. Yes, by dragging them against their will sometimes, but he made everybody better. And honestly, Russell, that is more important to me than making any money or anything. Is if I'm in a store, everybody around me is going to be better when I leave than they were when I got there. And I honestly think that defines GOAT. I think that's what you got to do.
I think that's a great answer. I never really dissected what you know what a GOAT was, other than the greatest of all time, what the meaning of GOAT was, but what actually determines the GOAT status. I mean, I think that's an excellent answer.
I appreciate it. It was like a GOAT. It was like a GOAT answer.
That was a very goated answer. Well, guys, we got Goat for Real 216 here on the podcast. Thanks so much for being on here. If you don't already, make sure you follow him on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook. Now he's on LinkedIn, and he's also on Instagram. Let me know in the comments what you guys thought about this video, and make sure you hit the subscribe button. It really helps the channel.
Thanks for having me on, buddy. I love you.